Well, all right, it's 11:02. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the Sprinkles Parents event on improving babies' nighttime sleep so that you can sleep too. Many of us may be tired parents here. And so today we're going to learn all about how to improve your baby's sleep. If you're new to Sprinkles Parents, I'm Brooke Shapiro. I'm the founder. And Sprinkles Parents is just a parent community where we provide you education support to help parents thrive in the Bay Area. As we know, it's really hard to be a parent. There's a lot of crazy information out there. You can spend time Googling and not even be with your kid. So we're trying to provide you that resource you need, that book that you didn't have, the directions I joke from your baby at the hospital they forgot to give you, so that you can be set up for success and your family set up for success. As we're on a mission to help parents thrive. So thank you so much for joining. You can get our emails, and we have a baby meetup going to be happening in June that we'd love to see you all attend. So you can connect with other parents that are in the trenches with you. And with that, I'm going to be handing it over to the amazing sleep consultant who has saved and helped so many families here in the Bay Area, Angela, to tell you more and teach you how to improve your baby's sleep. So with that, I'll pass it along to Angela.
Well, thank you so much, Brooke. I am super excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk about overnight sleep. There's a picture of my little kids, and you can probably imagine that I have had my fair share of sleep problems with them, but I'm a pediatric sleep consultant here in Oakland, and I have these three little kids. The two on the left are twins, and they are 4, and then I have a kindergartner who's 6.
Hey, Angela, I think you need to switch the slide because we can only see the front page.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm sharing my screen, and that's what I see, so I'm not sure what can I do differently.
We can only see the front page right now. Let's see.
So?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that help at all?
No. Let's see. Sorry, everyone. I can share my screen if it's easier. I know we can just see your front page that says the Sprinkles Parents Improving Baby Sleep.
That's really odd. Because I thought I was sharing my screen, and it says that I'm screen sharing.
Oh no. Okay. Troubleshoot, everyone. Sorry, everyone. I will share my screen and see if it's better. Oh wait, now we can see the bottom. Oh, you gotta click on the little buttons on the side. Sorry. Here, let me. Oh. Now I'm getting people. All right. I'll share my screen, and I'm getting an echo. Can everyone see my screen okay? Feel free to put it in the chat. Presentation. Can everyone see my screen okay? All right, awesome. Here's Angela's incredible and cute, really adorable kids. So I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you again for joining. I'm sorry about that glitch there. But yeah, super excited to be here. And I know the reason I started doing this is because I know how hard it is to be that patient and kind and compassionate parent that you want to be when you've had no sleep. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so that's why I love helping other families to get more sleep.
Yeah.
Brooke, are you going forward on the slides?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, today we'll talk about what does it mean to sleep through the night. I hear a lot of different definitions of that. We'll talk about what you can expect, how long you can expect your child to sleep based on their age. We'll talk about the best bedtime routine and what a good sleep environment looks like. We'll talk about how daytime sleep impacts overnight sleep. It actually is a big key factor in getting that overnight sleep going well. We'll also talk about self-settling or teaching your child how to fall asleep all by themselves, which is also another way of saying sleep training. We'll talk about whether that's right for your family and whether you can do sleep training without crying it out. Go ahead, Brooke. So sleeping through the night depends on age, certainly. When I think about sleeping through the night, for me, it's sleeping 11 or 12 hours overnight with the age appropriate number of nighttime feeds. Go ahead. So that means that if you have a baby between 3 and 6 months, that might be 1 or 2 overnight feeds. So within that 11 to 12 hours, you might be doing 1 or 2 feeds, is all they really need overnight. If you're over 7 months, you might be doing just 1. And over 12 months, you could do none. And I will say that there's quite a few 8-month-olds who can do no feeds overnight too. So this is kind of the oldest I would go on these recommendations. So bedtime routine. So first factor in really having a successful overnight is coming up with a consistent routine that you do each night. And the reason that that matters is because that becomes a cue for your baby that this is time for sleep. So having a bedtime routine at about the same time each day is super helpful. Going into your baby's room when you're doing it, starting to dim the lights. So those 3 things, having, in the baby's room and dimming the lights, those start to be a sleep cue so that they know, okay, we're getting ready for bed. If you are interested in having your baby learn how to self-settle, feeding them towards the beginning of the routine is going to be super helpful so that they're not feeding to sleep. 2 important factors with sleep environments is that it's dark and that you have white noise. So having a dark space is super important because it tells the brain that it's time for sleep. So if you have blackout shades, it's very, very helpful over the windows because, right now we're coming on summer and, the sun comes up at 5:30, but let's say you want your baby to sleep until 7, that would be nice, right? If they start to see light at 5:30, that's going to be a signal to their brain that it's time to wake up. So keeping the space dark when you want them to be sleeping is very helpful. White noise helps block out noises that you might not be able to control. So after 4 a.m. is a lighter phase of sleep. So baby might be in and out of sleep. They might not be getting into a deep sleep again. And so one of the reasons that white noise helps is if they hear a noise, let's say the garbage truck goes by at 6 a.m., well, that can wake them up, and then it's going to be harder for them to fall back asleep. So white noise just blocks out noises that that otherwise might wake up a baby, which is super helpful. Go ahead, Brooke. Okay, so this is a scenario I see probably at least once a week. So I just wanted to mention it because it's so common. So I talk to a lot of parents where they say, my 3-month-old, they were sleeping so well, they slept all night long, maybe they had 1 feed overnight, and then all of a sudden they hit 4 months and they're waking up every hour, every 2 hours, every half an hour, all night long. And then all of a sudden, everyone in the family sleep is falling apart. So why does this happen? The 4-month sleep regression, right? So you might have heard of this. And what happens is at 4 months, the body is starting to reorganize the way that it does sleep cycles. So it's trying to consolidate its sleep cycles into longer periods. But what's happening is if your baby hasn't learned how to self-settle yet, then you might just see sleep starting to fall apart at this age. So that's why I work with a lot of families who have a 4-month-old, because that's when their sleep starts to just fall apart and they need help. So another factor, if you want to have great overnight sleep, that 11 to 12 hours overnight, you want to make sure that you have the right amount of daytime sleep for your child's age. So the timing of the daytime sleep is very important, but also the amount of sleep is very important. So the reason we care about that is it's just one of the factors that helps set them up for success, making sure that they're truly tired by the time they reach bedtime. So another way to say this is if they have too much daytime sleep for their age, then they don't have enough sleep pressure to sleep through the night. Or another way to say that is they're just not tired enough to sleep for those 11 to 12 hours. If they don't have enough daytime sleep, then they might get overtired, which makes babies get a second wind and it makes them difficult to settle. So how much daytime sleep do we need? So if you have a baby who's 3 or 4 months, they might be doing 3 or 4 naps. They might be doing 3 naps if they're 4 to 7 months, 2 naps at 8 months. And then most babies somewhere around 13 to 18 months drop down to just 1 nap. Average age is about 15 months. And so having the right, this is one factor, having the right amount of sleep, and then the timing of sleep is going to be the other important factor. So the timing of sleep, one of the most important things is if you're aiming, let's say for a 7 o'clock bedtime, then you want the last nap of the day to end by 5 if you're doing 3 or 4 naps. So if you're 6 or 7 months and younger, you want that last nap of the day to end by 5. And if you're taking 1 or 2 naps, so that would be 8 months or more, then you want to have 4 hours of awake time before the midday nap and bedtime, so that you can see over time the awake time before bed increases, and so that will help a child sleep all the way through the night. Okay, another big factor is having a full tummy before bed. So if your child is just having milk, and they're not doing solids yet, you want to make sure that they have a full tummy before bed, and that means having a milk feed around dinner time and having another full milk feed before bed. If you're doing solids, then you'd have solids at dinner, like a meal of dinner, and then you'd also do a full milk feed before bed, so that you can be confident that they're not waking up due to hunger. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about self-settling, but I want to talk more about what exactly that means. So self-settling means that a baby is going from fully awake to fully asleep without assistance from mom, dad, caregiver, nanny, grandma, whoever it is. So you can see from this chart here the hierarchy of self-settling. So at the very top is a baby who is truly going to sleep all by themselves. They don't need any help, meaning you put them down in their crib, fully awake, and they go to sleep all by themselves. If you have a younger baby, you might be closer to the bottom, where you're holding them, feeding them, bouncing, rocking them to sleep. As they get a little older, you can put them down drowsy. A 3-month-old would also do really well with padding, so that you're not holding them, but they're in the crib and you're giving them this new association with the padding instead of being held or fed to sleep. As they get a little bit older, and you can do more with self-settling, true self-settling, a baby needs to be probably 4 months old. And so this is just kind of a way that you would do less and less over time. So you might start out with using touch and your voice and standing next to their crib. And then over time, you would back off of how much you're doing, so that baby is doing more and you're doing a little bit less. Okay, so why do we care? Why is self-settling important? The reason we care is that the way that a baby falls asleep is how they will look to go back to sleep if they wake up. So a baby's sleep cycle is 45 or 50 minutes long. And what happens between that time and the next sleep cycle is they sort of partially wake up, and they look around and they go, wait, my mom was holding me, or my dad was holding me when I went to sleep, and now I'm alone in my crib and I don't know how to go back to sleep. So I'm going to cry because I don't know what to do. They don't know how to go back to sleep on their own. And so they're going to look for you to help them go back to sleep, which is why you're going to see a lot of wake ups overnight. So like we talked about, if you were at bedtime rocking, holding, or feeding a baby to go to sleep, then they're going to need that same help to go back to sleep when they wake up, which means they're going to wake you up and ask for your help. So what's the alternative? The alternative is teaching your baby how to self-settle, which means, again, that you put your baby down fully awake and they fall asleep on their own. And once they're able to do that, then they can also do the same thing overnight when they partially wake up in between those sleep cycles. So sleep training is essentially teaching a child how to self-settle, how to go from fully awake to fully asleep all by themselves. So we looked at this hierarchy again. We looked at it before. What this is showing is basically how can you offer less and less assistance over time to get to a place where your baby is truly going to sleep on their own. And you can kind of choose like how you want to go through this. You could go through it quickly, or you could just kind of go through each step slowly. So one of the things that people ask me a lot is, when is a good time to start? Babies should be at least 4 months old, because like I said, that's when a baby can truly learn how to self-settle. They're developmentally ready to learn that skill. At 3 months, we can do a modified version of self-settling where you're using your hands, you're using touch to help them fall asleep. But I think the most important factor is, when are you ready? So you as a parent have to feel like, this is right for my family. This is what I want. Otherwise, it probably won't work. So, sorry, Brooke, one more thing. If you are starting to see that your sleep situation with your baby is negatively affecting your family, your relationships, your job, your patients, your ability to interact with other people or your other children, that might be a time where it would be really helpful to work on sleep.
Can I share a quick story just with other parents for a second, Angela?
Yeah.
So when I went back to the office, this was 2018 with my son, he wasn't sleeping through the night. And at work, I couldn't concentrate, I was trying to pump and, everything. And it was like, I was such a mess, I'll be honest. And my boss at the time literally said to me, Brooke, like, you need to go home. It was like a Thursday. He's like, take off Friday. You need to sleep train your child and then come back to the office on Monday. He's like, because you can't, you're not functioning. You are not, yourself. And he's like, in order for you to be successful, at your job or what we're, just as a human being, make sure your kid is sleep trained, instead of trying to do it all, because if a parent or an adult doesn't get sleep, you can't really function. And so I just wanted to share that with others to say, like, if you're going back to work, it'd be good to try and get your kids sleep trained before you have to go back to work. Or if you are, about to go have something, change in your life, or feeling a lot of postpartum depression, hits at 4 months as well. I just want to let people know, I experienced it and you're not alone. And so, getting at least the sleep, you can only do so much for your depression, but like at least having sleep helps. If you're going into postpartum depression, or if you're, feeling really sad going back to work and leaving your baby at a new childcare or whatever. So I just want to kind of remind everyone, like, it's okay to ask for help if you need it, like with Angela or, wherever, to get your baby sleep so that you can rest and be successful. So thanks for letting me just share that little story with everyone.
Thank you. So if you're interested in doing sleep training, a couple things to consider. This is, again, teaching a child how to self-settle so that they can connect their sleep cycles overnight. Thinking about how much time you have I have worked with families where they say, mom says to me, I have to go back to work on Monday and we've got to fix this. Like she says, I can't function like this. And so if you need to do it quickly, there's certain methods that work more quickly. How much effort do you want to put into it? So there's a lot of talk about more gentle sleep training, which is totally great. But the downside of that is that it does take longer and it takes a lot of effort and energy. Thinking about the age of your child and your values as a parent and what your philosophy is. So I always say that whatever your parenting philosophy is, it really has to be aligned with what kind of sleep training you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful. I think family situation is super important. So if you have other children versus, if you're just having, you just have one child to work with versus, multiple things going on at home and what your work situation is, like, those are all super important factors. Tolerance for crying is important too. Thinking about, where you are personally, because here's the thing about sleep training is that you are teaching a child a new skill, and you might have gone from co-sleeping or holding them and rocking them to sleep to putting them down fully awake. Of course, they're going to be upset and they're going to, be like, hey, I'm frustrated, I'm tired, this is a new thing I'm learning. And so no matter what you choose, whether it's gentle or not, you're probably going to have some crying. Okay, so cry it out. So I hear cry it out talked a lot about on the internet in different moms groups and whatnot, but cry it out is the sleep method known as extinction. And I think some people use it sometimes to talk about any crying, but what cry it out actually is where you leave the room. So you put your baby down awake, leave the room, and you don't come back until it's time to feed them or it's morning if they're not doing a feed overnight. So what's the alternative to that? Is there something more gentle? Yes. This hierarchy is basically showing what the different sort of options are and how do you get to the place of self-soothing. So if baby's a little younger, using your hands, using touch to help settle them is super helpful. One of the things that's considered a more gentle option is if you're in the room with your baby and there to support them while they're falling asleep. You can also do pickups and touch. And like I said, the things that are more gentle, where you're introducing touch or pickups, or where you're in the room, these things take a lot longer. So it's super helpful if you really believe in what you're doing and these things align with your parenting philosophy. If you're wanting to do something that's more that's very effective and faster, so you just don't have a lot of time, or you just want to get it done with, doing something where you're checking in, you're putting them down fully awake, and then doing check-ins to know that they're so that your baby knows you're there for them, you're there to support them. But ultimately, we're teaching a new skill, and we're going to teach them how to go to sleep all by themselves. Okay, so that was it, and I'm happy to take questions. I just put my website up here in case you are interested. I've got my Instagram at ae.sleep, ae.sleep, yeah. On my website, I offer a free 15-minute call. We can talk and you can tell me more about your specific situation. I work with newborns all the way through 4-year-olds. And I know this talk was really geared towards babies, but we could do a whole webinar just on toddlers, because they're like a different thing. Toddlers have behavior as part of the equation, because there's the sleep part, but there's also the behavior part. And then I also, so what I typically do when I work with families is I offer a virtual option where we are communicating via email and phone and text. And I write personalized sleep plans for that family based on, what you're looking for and what your goals are. And then I help support you over 2 weeks to implement the plan. And then I also offer in-home support. What a lot of families will have me do with in-home support is to actually come when they're starting sleep training on the very first evening that they're starting at bedtime. So it's super helpful. They typically feel really confident when I leave that they really know what they're doing. And I'm offering a couple of discounts in case you're interested. So, but yeah, I'm happy to take questions if there's anyone who has a question.
Thank you, Angela. I really appreciate this.
Sure.
Feel free to go off mute if you have any questions, or you're welcome to put it in the chat. I was going to share also, when I was doing sleep training with my husband, or doing it for my son, making sure you both are on the same page with how you're doing it if you have a partner, like you were saying, family situations.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was like literally holding my hands back because I kept wanting to go in there, and he was like, no. So
yeah, and I encounter that a lot where one parent is more, aligned with one way, and the other parent wants to do it a different way. And so what I try to do is to get everyone together and really talk about what we want and how can we come together and get something that's going to work for everybody.
yeah, that's awesome. It's
Oh,
not
another thing. Oh, sorry, Brooke. The other thing I was going to say is I have worked with, moms, or mostly moms who are working with postpartum depression, and the crying, really bothers them. So one of the things that I love to do is to say, well, how about if your partner is the one to do the sleep training, and we you go and do like a spa day, or a spa weekend or something, and go visit a friend, and that way when you come back, things will be in a much better place.
Yeah, having a mom go away to do sleep training is like, I felt the guilt. I felt so guilty. I was going to go to my brother's engagement party and feel bad, like living like my husband alone with my baby. But it was like, I was not the right one to be doing it, because the postpartum depression, the crying just like triggered me. And so having him do it and me stepping away was the best thing I did. So that's another option for moms too. Like, don't feel bad, like get away and have your partner do it, like a non-birth partner do it. It's also key. All right. Any questions in the chat? Or you can go off mute. I'll leave it. All right. Well, you're welcome to reach out to Angela on her website or Instagram, like she shared. We'll be sending a recording of this for those that weren't able to make it, or if you want to go back and check your notes. Thank you so much, Angela, for joining us today. We're so grateful to have you to educate parents. Thank you. And we'll be having a Sprinkles Parents Baby meetup soon in June, where we'll be meeting in Alameda at Chichinio Park, I think. I'm just confirming the dates now. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Go get some sleep, and hope to see you guys soon at more Sprinkles events. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.